In every corner of our world, a quiet crisis is unfolding, you know? It doesn't always make the headlines. It doesn't scream for attention, but its effects are felt by millions. From the towering skyscrapers of New York City to the bustling, crowded markets of Lagos, a fundamental pillar of modern society is under threat. In the gleaming financial districts of London and the sprawling megacities like Shanghai, families are feeling the pressure. People rush to work every day, filling trains and highways, all chasing a dream that seems to be slipping further and further away. This dream is the promise of a stable, secure life. The middle class has long been considered the backbone of any prosperous nation. It represents the hardworking majority. These are the people who build our cities, teach our children, and drive our economies forward. They are the engine of progress. But today, that engine is beginning to sputter and stall. A deep and unsettling change is happening right before our eyes. The very foundation of this group is eroding, worn down by economic forces that feel beyond anyone's control. The dream of stability is fading with every passing year, replaced by a growing sense of uncertainty and anxiety about what the future holds for ordinary people. Prices for everything, from a gallon of milk to a modest family home, continue to climb relentlessly higher. Yet, for so many, wages have remained stubbornly flat, failing to keep pace with the ever-increasing cost of living. The simple idea of getting ahead of building a better life for your children through honest work feels like a relic of a bygone era. This is not just a story about numbers on a spreadsheet or complex economic theories. It is a human story. It is the story of parents working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. It is the story of young graduates burdened by debt, unable to afford the life their parents had. It is the story of communities hollowed out as opportunities vanish. The middle class may be vanishing, but the fight for a fair and stable future is a struggle that affects us all. The dream of a secure life is not a luxury. It is a fundamental hope that binds our societies together. There was a time, not so long ago, when the path forward seemed clear. After the great conflicts of the 20th century, a powerful idea took hold across the world. It was the promise of the middle class. This promise was simple yet profound. If you worked hard and played by the rules, you could build a decent life for yourself and your family. You could own a home, afford a car, and provide your children with a good education. This wasn't just an American dream. It was a global aspiration, a symbol of progress and prosperity for nations everywhere. From the 1950s through the 1980s, the middle class flourished. Factory workers, teachers, small business owners could all aspire to a life of stability. A steady job meant more than just a paycheck. It meant security. It meant being able to plan for the future without constant fear of financial ruin. Today, however, that promise feels broken. For millions of people in many developed countries, the old rules no longer apply. The link between hard work and financial security has been severed. Working a full-time job, or even 2, is often no longer enough to stay ahead of the rising tide of expenses. The foundational elements of a middle-class life, a home-quality healthcare and a college education, have transformed from attainable goals into distant luxuries. Young people look at the rising cost of housing and wonder if they will ever be able to own a home. Parents worry about saving for their children's future while trying to manage their own mounting debts. The social contract that once guaranteed a measure of stability seems to have been rewritten without our consent. The promise of the middle class was a promise of a shared future. Now we must confront the uncomfortable truth that this promise has been broken and ask what it will take to build a new one. The unraveling did not happen overnight. It was a slow and gradual process. A new ideology took hold. The focus shifted from long-term shared prosperity to short-term profits for a select few. The link between productivity and pay, once a cornerstone of the post-war economy, was broken. People were working harder and producing more than ever before, but their paychecks no longer reflected that reality. Technology was always supposed to be our great liberator. But as we stand here in the early decades of the 21st century, a different reality is taking shape. Sophisticated algorithms and robots are now capable of performing tasks that were once thought to be uniquely human. Millions of white-collar jobs are now in the crosshairs of automation. The labor market is increasingly splitting into two extremes. The jobs in the middle, the ones that provided a stable middle-class income for generations, are the ones that are vanishing the fastest. Out of the disruption caused by automation and outsourcing, a new model of work has emerged: the gig economy. Promoted as a path to flexibility and entrepreneurship, it promises a world where you can be your own boss, set your own hours, and control your own destiny. However, beneath this glossy surface of freedom and empowerment lies a much harsher reality for many. These workers are often classified as independent contractors, not employees. This means they are not entitled to the basic protections that have been the foundation of labor rights for a century. This system effectively transfers all the risk from the corporation to the individual worker. The gig economy creates a permanent underclass of workers who are perpetually hustling, piecing together an income from various sources without any of the stability needed to plan for the future. These forces are dismantling one of the most important mechanisms for upward mobility: the career ladder. Companies are increasingly operating with a lean, core group of high-level employees and a periphery of temporary staff, freelancers, and contract workers. Young people graduating from college find themselves trapped in a series of short-term contracts or internships that never convert into permanent positions. The future feels like a series of uncertain leaps rather than a steady climb. We are creating a world where your starting position in life is increasingly likely to be your ending position, entrenching inequality and robbing a generation of the hope for a better future. While the nature of work is being transformed, another more immediate crisis is squeezing the middle class from a different direction. This is the cost of living crisis. Wages have stagnated for about 40 years, adjusted for inflation. Meanwhile, costs for essentials have soared. That divergence creates a painful squeeze. Paychecks buy far less than before. Families stretch every dollar and cut small luxuries. Millions feel like they're running on a treadmill, working harder just to stay in place. A recent U.S. study finds 60% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. No financial cushion, no margin for error. Nowhere is the cost of living crisis more apparent than in the housing market. The cost of buying a home has spiraled out of control, pushing it far beyond the reach of the average income earner. Renters are forced to spend an ever larger portion of their income just to keep a roof over their heads, making it nearly impossible to save for a down payment. They are caught in a housing trap, paying a landlord as much as a mortgage payment, but building no equity and no future for themselves. Families are forced to move further and further away from their jobs, enduring punishingly long commutes just to find an affordable place to live. Beyond the cost of shelter, two other pillars of a secure middle-class life have become crushing financial burdens: healthcare and education. The fear of getting sick is now a financial fear. This forces people to make impossible choices. They delay necessary treatments. At the same time, the price of higher education has exploded, transforming a ladder of opportunity into a mountain of debt. They begin their working lives already deep in a financial hole. They are less likely to start a business or take a lower-paying job in a field they are passionate about. The high cost of education is not just a financial issue, it is a dream killer. The unavoidable consequence is a society built on debt. We are papering over the cracks of a broken economic model with borrowed money. A job loss, a reduction in hours, or an unexpected expense can quickly tip the balance, leading to a descent into a financial hole that can be nearly impossible to climb out of. They are starting their adult lives with a financial handicap their parents and grandparents never had to contend with. When people are drowning in debt, they are less able to save, invest, innovate, and participate fully in the economy. They are trapped just trying to keep their heads above water. While millions of families struggle to stay afloat, a very different story is unfolding at the very top of the economic ladder. We are witnessing what is known as the Great Divergence, the simultaneous hollowing out of the middle and the explosive growth of the top. We see the lifestyles of the new elite displayed for all to see. Private jets, sprawling mega mansions, and billion-dollar-plus yachts. These are symbols of a world apart. Many are the architects and beneficiaries of the digital revolution. Founders, chief executives. This creates a winner-take-all market. where a few dominant companies capture the vast majority of the profits, leaving little room for smaller competitors. The financial industry has also played a central role. The focus of the economy shifted from making things to making money from money. This concentration of wealth is more than just an economic statistic. It is a concentration of power. Great wealth buys influence. The global picture of the middle class is not a simple, uniform story of decline. It is a complex and uneven tale of two worlds. While the middle class in many Western industrialized nations is shrinking, in other parts of the world, it is expanding at an unprecedented rate. For countless families in these regions, the dream of a stable life is becoming a tangible reality, a powerful engine of hope and aspiration. However, this progress is often accompanied by stark and growing inequality. The same pattern of wealth concentration that we see in the West is being replicated. We are moving toward a global class structure. The future of global stability may depend on the answer to whether we can build a fairer, more inclusive model for all. We now stand at a critical crossroads. One path leads to a future of ever-deepening inequality, a two-tiered society of the hyper-rich and the permanently precarious. It is a future where the concept of a broad, shared prosperity becomes a nostalgic relic of a bygone era. However, there is another path. This path requires us to fundamentally rethink what we value as a society. The erosion of the middle class was not inevitable. It was the result of decisions we made. Therefore, its revival can also be the result of a new set of decisions. We can invest in new industries that create good, stable jobs, such as the transition to a green economy, modernizing our infrastructure, and expanding our care economy. Small businesses and local entrepreneurs, the lifeblood of any healthy community, must be supported. Ultimately, the most powerful force for change lies with us, the citizens. The fight for a fairer world has always been a bottom-up struggle. The middle class may be vanishing, but the dream it represents, the dream of a secure, dignified life earned through honest work, is a universal human aspiration that will never disappear. The challenges are immense, and the path forward is uncertain, but the fight to reclaim that dream has just begun. The question is not whether anyone can afford the future, but whether we have the collective will to build a future that is affordable for everyone.